blasphemy! This is madness!
This is
Warcry. Warcry Catacombs. Bonesplitterz versus Ironjawz. Look at all this new stuff, folks. We got some rules, models, terrain, and a book I already own. Just to let you all know, this is my very first attempt at playing and creating a battle report for Warcry Catacombs expansion. So if I goof up on a rule here or there, well, please be nice. Enough of me jabbering on, let's show you the fighters and flip some cards to see what is in store for this combat. For the Bonesplitterz and the hammer, we have two savage moorboys, and one of them is holding a big old totem. In the shield, we have the savage moorboy boss, another moorboy, and of course a final green boy holding a big totem. And finally in the dagger, we have two savage big stabbas. Gotta love some orruks holding a couple big old logs. For the Ironjawz and the hammer, we have the weird knob shaman and a trusty brute with some choppas. In the shield, we have our leader, the brute boss backed up by another brute with choppas. And last but not least, in the dagger, we have a brute with a trusty gore choppa. Before we get to the battle plan, here is the board all set up on the table. The following 4 special terrain pieces in play today are the sewer, a single lever, the cursed caskets, and the collapsed doorway. Moving on over to deployment, we have Turf War. Bonesplitterz will be the blue deployment zones, and the Ironjawz will be the red. For our victory card, we have Annihilation. The Bonesplitterz will be the attackers, and the Ironjawz the defenders. The green orruks must take down more than half of the Ironjawz fighters by the end of 5 battle rounds to be victorious. And finally, for the twist card, we have Warning Calls. Looks like our reserve fighters will be coming out in the start of the 2nd battle round rather than the 3rd. The board is set, the cards are flipped, and the fighters are on the battlefield. Let us start round 1 with some initiative. The Bonesplitterz roll first, and they end up getting a pair of doubles and a couple singles. The Ironjawz will then roll, and they end up getting the same thing. A roll will commence, giving the brutes the go-ahead. They elect to not spend a wild die, and the Bonesplitterz will do the same. So the turn begins with the Gore Choppa brute. He will double move a total of 6 inches and get right up to the closed door, and then use the double ability Breach Door and attempt to open it for the next turn. The orruk just can't roll all ones, and the door is now open for business. One of the big stabbas is next and will attempt to breach through the door as well. And once again, the fighter just can't roll all ones, and the door has been opened. After this, the orruk will just double move and get up close to the metal bridge, ending its activation. Following this, the brute boss will use the rush ability to get himself safely across the wooden bridge with no chance to fall into the lava pit. After this double move, things move on over to a moorboy who will use the rush ability and take a risk on this wobbly bridge, as he wants to get over to the door this turn. After finishing the first move, we roll to see if the bridge breaks, and on a 2, it does not. The moorboy finishes off his move safely right in front of the closed door. For the final activation for the Ironjawz, this brute will just simply move up and get in front of the bridge and pass his turn on over, just to be safe. For the rest of the Bonesplitterz on the table, each one will either move a single time or use a double move and end their turn. For the Orruk Totem Boy who ended his turn on the metal bridge, we will roll to see if the terrain becomes weakened on a 1, but it is safe for now. This will then end battle round 1. A bunch of moving and ripping doors open this round. Let's move over to battle round 2. The Bonesplitterz start things off with a double and a set of singles. The Ironjawz will then roll, and they end up getting a triple and 3 singles. The green orruks have the initiative and decide to add a triple and a double to their warband, while the Ironjawz will make a quad and a double. The reserves will then pop in this round, and the Bonesplitterz get to place the first model until all 4 new fighters enter the fray. After this, we begin battle round 2. We start off with the moorboy boss who will use the Wah ability, granting all nearby orruks a 6-inch bonus to each move, which is insane, and then will actually use the wait action and activate later in the round. The brute with the gore chop is next and will just double move through the door he opened last turn and sit at the end of the bridge waiting for the Bonesplitterz to make their way to him. Next, a totem Moorboy with a huge movement boost will run forward and get within his 3-inch attack range of the shaman and then attack in for the second action. Hitting on 4s, the shaman takes a light 2 damage. The Weird Knob Shaman did not like getting poked, so it will use the Rampaging Destroyer ability and swing twice into the little green orruk, hitting in on 3s, and after 2 attacks, does a disappointing 6 damage. After that sad showing, the Moorboy boss will reactivate and then move 9 or so inches forward to give moving room for his buddies behind him, and then end his turn. A brute will go next and just casually move next to one of the other brutes on the Ironjawz side of the bridge and then end its activation. This Moorboy will then use the double for the breach door ability, and to be honest, it is practically impossible that this orc will not break on through, and of course he does. He will then simply double move and get closer to the Moorboy boss, ending his turn. The brute boss will go next and just move up right behind the collapsed door and then pass the turn on over to the Bonesplitterz. A big stabbo will double move a massive 20 inches across the battlefield past his leader and stop his move only a few inches away from the brute on top of the metal bridge. We will roll to see if it becomes weakened, and on a 4, everything is safe. The final activation for the Ironjawz will be this brute who will just move up a little bit to back up his pals and end his turn. To finish off the rest of the round, the Bonesplitterz fighters will move up closer to the Moorboy boss, who is hoping to get off a wah again next round and get in and attack the Ironjawz models. After all of these models have been moved, we finish Battle Round 2. A little bit of action this round, but the Bonesplitterz have to start attacking and eliminating fighters soon to achieve victory. Let's move on over to some Round 3 initiative. The green orruks roll and they end up getting a triple, a double, and a single. For the red orruks, they copy their brethren and get the exact same thing. A roll-off commences and the Bonesplitterz take the initiative. They give themselves a single for the guaranteed first turn, and the Ironjawz ramp up to a quad once again. We start things off with a big stabbo who will use the double ability Charge to get a free move right into the Ironjawz model right in front of him. We'll check the bridge strength, and we're all good there. Then 2 big attacks into the brute, hitting on 4s, and the stabbo deals a massive 18 damage to the orruk. Following this activation is the Shaman, who will use its staff and attack twice into the Moorboy, hitting on 3s here, and deals in a total of 5 damage. The Moorboy boss will now go and use the Wah ability once again, no surprise there. He will then move up on behind the Moorboy with the totem, who is heavily damaged, and then end his turn. The brute with the Gore Choppa is next and will use the Duff Up the Big Thing ability against the Stabba, hitting on 3s with 10 total attacks, and just deals in, a casual 36 damage and takes down the pair of orruks. That maybe wasn't the best idea for the Bonesplitterz. Well, here may come another bad idea. This big stabbo is angry and first runs to the metal bridge. Fortunately, no harm to the bridge is had, and for its next action will leap across the lava pit behind the brutes. During the leap, the orc will suffer impact damage, but on a 2, no harm comes to him, and that will end the Bonesplitterz turn. We shall see if that was a bad idea, as the nearby brute will also use the Duff Up the Big Thing ability and attack into the stabba, hitting on 3s and deals 16 damage. It seems it was another bad idea for the Bonesplitterz. At least they're playing true to their character. Next is a Moorboy with a totem who will take its boosted move right up to the Ardboy with Gore Choppa and stay roughly 3 inches away from the orc. As for the metal bridge, nothing happens once again. Speaking of more risk, this brute will take its turn and go on the offensive. Now it moves onto the metal bridge with the Moorboy, and on a 1, the bridge becomes weakened. Now nothing happens yet to the bridge, but the brute will then attack in, hitting on 3s and deals in 6 damage as well as a critical hit. With the force of the attack, will the Moorboy be able to stand on the platform? A 1 is rolled and the savage orc takes a tumble into the lava, and is immediately eliminated. Another Savage Orruk is next and will run forward, double moving onto the bridge at the end of its turn. On a 6, the bridge is stable and the 2 Orruks are safe, for now. The Brute Boss will then just go and sit still, continuing to block any Orruks from charging over the obstacle, and end its turn there. Another Savage Orruk will move up and behind the bridge to combat the Ironjawz models if he needs to next round, and then pass the turn over to the final Moorboy. This Moorboy will just simply attack twice into the Weirdknob Shaman, hitting on 4s, and this Orruk rolls complete garbage and does no damage to the Shaman. After that, we end battle round 3. More hot action, literally, this round, and fighters are falling into pits, and the Ironjawz definitely seem to have the upper hand. Let's jump on over to round 4, Initiative. The Bonesplitterz start things off with a pair of doubles and a couple singles. For the Ironjawz, they end up with a double and a handful of singles. They will decide to make a second double, while the Bonesplitterz will give themselves a triple. We then begin with the Brute on the bridge. He will use the Duff Up the Big Thing ability and attack into the Savage Orruk. Hitting on 3s, the first attack deals 6 damage, and the second attack hammers in 10 more damage, killing him outright. The Savage Big Stabbers will go next. They will use the Onslaught ability and attack into the nearby Brute. Hitting on 4s, and they deal a whopping 24 damage and almost kill the Brute. Just 1 more damage. The Brute that just got stabbed is angry and will use the, you guessed it, Duff Up the Big Thing and attack in. On 3s, once again, the first attack deals in 6 damage, and the second does enough to take down the fighter. The Bonesplitterz have little hope left, and they rely on this Savage Orruk. It will move up onto the middle bridge. We'll once again roll a die to see if the bridge collapses, and on 1, 2 Orruks are going to swim in lava. Well, that was a little unexpected. Following this event, the Weirdknob Shaman will attack into the Moorboy. With its staff, it hits on 3s and deals 8 damage, killing the Orruk. So as we zoom out here, even though there are still more activations and a whole other round of gameplay, there is only 1 Bonesplitter model left, and there is no chance it can take down 2 more Ironjawz fighters. So with that, we have an Ironjawz victory. So let's start by saying this. I forgot about the Duff Up the Big Thing ability, so this battle was a little bit one-sided. Okay, maybe a lot of bit one-sided. But with that being said, I feel the walls and movement hindrance was an even bigger factor in the Bonesplitterz' loss. It pretty much took them 2.5 turns for the Bonesplitterz to even get in a good position to try to start and put some damage into the Ironjawz. Overall, Warcry Catacombs adds new and fun mechanics to the game. I mean, we even got to see a bridge collapse and 3 fighters boil themselves in lava. So that was pretty neat, I guess. I hope you all enjoyed the battle report. If Catacombs content is something you'd like to see in the future, please let me know. Also, feel free to, subscribe and check out my Patreon if you feel I deserve $1 so I can feed my cat. I appreciate all of you. I want to thank you all for watching, and of course, happy gaming.